to record our class?
Yes, sir.
Great. Okay. Brilliant. Right. So we've got 3 people who volunteer to record the class: Vavai, Nail, and Riando. Thank you so much for your voluntary activities. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, before I go to second session, normally I don't think I did this to every one of you every time we had classes, right? So did I ever ask you to turn on your camera every time we have presentation or every time we have class? I can't remember I have told you that, but today I would really recommend you turn on your recording, turn on your camera so I can see who are actually engaging in my classes. Okay, just in case you have exception, like your internet connection is very bad, so you can't actually turn on your camera, please do let me know so I'll take notes. But otherwise, please turn on your camera so I see that you are actually present, not just your computer. I mean, I noticed that some of the students, their names are actually here, but their souls are not around. So that's quite sad for me to find out. Okay, so please turn on your camera, ladies and gentlemen, so I can see that you're actually here. That's probably the rule that I would like to put, starting from this meeting to the rest of our classes in the future. So I will just go back and forth and checking out the names, checking out the faces, just to make sure that you're actually present in the class. Okay. So it's going to be good for you as well, because Vavai and the other 2 volunteers, Nail and Riando, they have volunteered to actually record the class. So every time you can somehow see your own recordings, and let's see that you are actually engaging in our class activities. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could see the second session, we have the presentation from the group 1. I believe group 1 will be Danny Maulana, Dewi Mangesti, and Vavai Masim, right? And if I'm not mistaken, you will be presenting passive voice. Is that right, Vavai?
Yes, sir. Correct, sir.
Okay. Okay, Vavai, before I let you start, so is one of you going to be moderator plus presenter, or how would you run your presentation?
Okay, sir. So, Bu Dewi Sri Mangesti will be the moderator, and Mas Denny and I will be the presenter, sir.
Right. Okay. Okay. Right. I believe that last week I shared with you already, like how to be presenters, right, and how to be moderators, right? And I did not quite remember that we actually, one second, I want to find out that we discussed the entire thing. One second, let me find my okay, let me stop sharing this, and I will share other things. One second, guys. Okay. I can't recall that I have somehow discussed how to be a presenter with you. I mean, I thought I only gave you this, right? So good morning, ladies and gentlemen, or good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is blah, blah, blah. And then, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to present my report in the front of distinguished audience. I thought we just discussed about that, right? I mean, tonight, Vavai, just in case I have not stated to you, or I did not state to you of what utterances or what sentences you actually have to say when you become presenters, allow me to do that now before you actually do presentation. If you have done your preparation and your preparation involves this, it's fine, that's great. But if this does not yet involve this, so please, I would like you to add these utterances in the way you present your presentation today. What do I mean by this one? So what I mean by this one is, ladies and gentlemen, after you say it's an honor, right, to present my topic in the front of distinguished audience, I also would like you to say this as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to talk to you today about passive voice, blah, 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 right? And then you go from this one as well. The purpose of this talk is to update you or to put you in a picture about what passive voice is and how the formula of passive voice. Okay, and then please do this as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I shall take only 5 minutes of your time. I shall take maximum 15 minutes of your time in my presentation. Okay, so Vavai, if I have not done this to you last week, I really would like you to do it, to prepare. I'll give you some time, right? I'll give you some time to prepare this. When you're ready, tell me, and then you can start your presentation. So not only this, we also still have this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I have divided my presentation into 3 parts or into 2 parts. The first part would be presented by myself, Vavai, and then the second part would be presented by my partner, blah, blah, blah. Okay? So what is the first, second, and third parts of your presentation? Right? And then please say this as well. Ladies and gentlemen, I would be glad to answer any question at the end of my talk. If you prefer the audience to ask you questions at the end of the class or at the end of your presentation, please use this. I'd be glad to answer any questions at the end of my talk. However, if you do not mind that your participants interrupt you during your presentation, then please choose the second one. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt. Okay, so you should choose between these two. So you're welcome to choose the first one. You're also welcome to choose the second one. But the most important part is actually you say this before you start your presentation. Okay, Vavai and Devi Mangesti. Yes, have you got a question to Devi?
Yes, I have a question. For your slide, this slide and before this slide and this slide, it is okay if the moderator to say about this?
Yes, yes. I mean,
Okay.
you're welcome to divide your presentations. Like, that's really your concern with Devi and your teammates. Like, normally it can be stated by presenters, but on some occasions, the moderator is also welcome to actually do that, right? So the audience will find out all information about what this particular participants and speakers would like to talk about. Okay.
Okay.
Nails. 1 second. I'm gonna have to find Nail. Nail. Nail, would you like to say something so your face could be just right, go up front so I can make you my co-host? Nail?
Yes, sir. I'm sorry, I got troubles.
Yep, I'll just make you co-host again. Kote. I've made you one, so you should be able to do everything that you like.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Puji, would you like to ask a question?
Yes, sir. In our group, our point of view is we work as a team. So we divide our tasks. So if I think if from your presentation, it's suitable for the single presenter. If like two presenter, we must divide. For example, about the the time or the length of the presentation. It's okay for each of us to say the length of the presentation, or only the first presenter say what our presentation is about a 15 minutes, and each of us, each of the presenter is about 5 until 7 minutes.
Right.
And the
That's
subject
great.
and the purpose is the first presenter who said the purpose, or the second presenter also must explain about the purpose of the report. Thank you,
Right.
sir.
Okay. Okay. I understand your question, Fuji. That's great. Thank you so much for your question. That's brilliant. You're right. So guys, allow me to mention to you that this PowerPoint that I present to you is not a Bible. You know what I mean? It's not actually something that you have to follow word by word. These presentation materials are actually there to guide you. So in the reality, when you try to present with your groups or by yourself, it doesn't really matter. You're welcome to twitch around, to tweak around everything you'd like to choose. So for example, if this is for one person presenter only, and then you will have to do in a group, like 3 of you present at different times, right? So you're very welcome to do, for example, the first presenter will explain everything. I would like to talk to you about, we shall take 15 minutes overall, or we shall take 20 minutes of your time to present our topic today. We have divided our presentation into 3 parts. First part will be presented by myself. Second part will be presented by my partner, blah, blah, blah. And the third part will be presented by another partner, blah, blah, blah. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, and then you explain, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then when you finish, you go to your second speaker. You don't have to say from the beginning again if you don't want to. However, if you have 3 different parts, and these 3 different parts has different purpose, then you're welcome to do all over again. So thank you very much for the first presenter. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is blah, blah, blah. I'm the second presenter of today. I'd like to talk to you about blah, blah, blah. I shall take 7 minutes of your time. And then the purpose of my talk is blah, blah, blah. So I hope you get what I mean. Like, I hope I do answer your questions. Like, this particular presentation topic materials is not a Bible. So this is just a guidance that you can tweak around. What I mean by tweak around is like, you're welcome to create modifications according to your need. Okay. Have I answered your question, Buji?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, that's brilliant. Thank you for the question. All right. Right. Anybody else has question about this? No? Okay. So now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give the 2 groups some time, right? Some time to change the way you're going to talk, to add a little bit notes and the like, using the one that I just presented to you of how to be presenters, right? I probably would like to give you 10 to 15 minutes. Is that going to be long enough? I hope that's going to be more than enough. Okay, 10 minutes, yeah? So 10 minutes, we will come back, and then I will go from the first group, and I hope the first group, when you present today, you will involve everything that I just mentioned here, up to here. I'm glad to answer any questions at the end of my talk, or if you have any questions, please feel free to interrupt. You choose each of these, like which one that you like to take. All right. Okay, 10 minutes starts now. Group 1 and group 2. You're welcome to talk to your friends like this. I will just wait for you until you finish talking, okay? Okay. All right. That's just already 10 minutes. I hope you have finished your presentation preparation. Vavai, you're the first group, right? Have you
Yes, sir.
finished your preparation?
Yes, sir. The
Okay.
moderator will be Bu Dewi, and Bu Dewi will presenting first as a moderator.
Right, okay. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please turn on your camera? So we will see our first group presentation today from Denny, and then Vavai and Budewi. So ladies and gentlemen, the first group, the floor is yours.
Okay, before that, I will share screen first. Sorry. Vavai, oh, Control tab, right?
Yes. I'll tap it.
Alt and backspace.
Alt and tab.
Oh my god. Sorry. Have you seen my screen?
Yes, Bu Dewi.
Okay, sorry for this inconvenience. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to today's presentation session. My name is Devi Sri Mangesti, and I am honored to be your moderator for this event. Today we have two exceptional presenters who will be sharing their knowledge about passive voice. Please join me in welcoming our first presenter, Mr. Denny Maulana, who will present in the first part of our presentation. Following Mr. Maulana's presentation, we will have our second presenter, Mr. Masim Sugianto. We are grateful to have for them to share their knowledge about passive voice. After their presentation, we will have proceed the question and answer segments. Without further ado, let's begin this presentation session with Mr. Maulana and Mr. Sugianto. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Bu Dewi. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As you know from the moderator, my name is Denny Maulana. You may call me Denny. I am a Master of Informatics Engineering student at President University. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to present our assignment in the front of distinguished audience. We'd like to talk to you today about passive voice in English. The purpose of this talk is to put you in the picture about understanding the passive voice in English. This should only last around 15 minutes. We've divided the presentation into two parts. Firstly, will be presented by myself, and the last part will be presented by my partner, Pak Vavai. We'd be glad to answer any questions at the end of our presentation. And so, without further ado, let's start the presentation with what is passive voice. Passive voice is a grammatical construction that emphasizes the object of a sentence rather than the subject. It can be useful in certain situations, such as when the subject is unknown or unimportant, but it can also be vague and unclear about who is responsible for the action. It is important to use passive voice judiciously and to avoid overusing it in writing. So below are a brief example of passive voice. The sentence "someone kicked the ball" is actually a active voice, and if we want to write it in passive voice, we would write it "the ball was kicked." To the next slide, please, Bu Dewi. So how do we identify passive voice? Look for the to be verbs. Passive voice often involves the use of the to be verbs along with a past participle. Check for the agent or the doer of the action. In passive voice sentence, the agent or the one performing the action may not be explicitly mentioned. However, if it is mentioned, it is usually introduced with the preposition by. For example, if we want to write the passive voice of the cat chased the mouse, we would write it as the mouse was chased. Now, in this case, we can either include by the cat or not. Even if we don't include the by the cat words, the sentence still considered as correct in the English language. To the next slide, please, with you. The reasons to use passive voice, firstly, is when the actor is unknown. For example, the cave paintings of Lascaux were made in the Upper Old Stone Age. In this sentence, we don't know who created the cave paintings of Lascaux, so this sentence is perfect to use the passive voice. The second reason is when the actor is irrelevant. And for example, an experimental solar power plant will be built in the Australian desert. The third reason is when we want to be vague about who is responsible. The fourth reason is when we are talking about a general truth. For example, rules are made to be broken. So in this case, the rule can be broken by whomever or whenever. The fifth reason is we want to emphasize the person or object acted on. For example, insulin was discovered in 1921 by researchers at the University of Toronto. In this sentence, we want to emphasize the insulin. So this is how we would write it in passive voice. And lastly, the reason to use passive voice is when we are writing in a scientific genre that traditionally relies on passive voice. To the next slide, Bude. Lastly, I would like to talk to you about the myth and facts about passive voice. The first myth is passive voice is always wrong, when in fact passive voice is not inherently wrong. It has its uses in English, and in some cases, it is more appropriate than active voice. Passive voice is often used when the doer of the action is unknown or less important than the action itself. The second myth is passive voice is always wordy and unclear. Passive voice can be concise and clear when used appropriately. In fact, it can eliminate any ambiguity in some sentences. Passive voice should be avoided in all forms of writing. Passive voice is commonly used in scientific, technical, and formal writing, where the focus is on the process or results rather than the person performing the action. Active voice is always better than passive voice. Active voice is generally more direct and dynamic, but it's not always better. Passive voice can be used strategically to shift the focus of a sentence or when the subject is not known or relevant. The choice between active and passive voice depends on the context and your communication goals. To the next slide, please. Passive voice is weak or evasive. Passive voice is not necessarily weaker or evasive. It can be used to emphasize the receiver of an action, making it a useful tool for emphasizing the result or impact of an action rather than the doer. And lastly, passive voice is grammatically incorrect. Passive voice is grammatically correct. Is a grammatically correct construction in English. It follows the rule of the language and can be used effectively in various situations. And so, ladies and gentlemen, that is all for my part of the presentation. Thank you very much for your attention, ladies and gentlemen. And now, I'd like to hand it over to my partner, Pak Vavai, to continue with the presentation. The time is yours, Pak Vavai.
Thank you, Mr. Maulana. Good evening, everyone. I'm your second presenter for today. As the moderator mentioned, my name is Masim Sugianto, but you can call me Vavai, my nickname. I'm a student at the Magister Management Technology program at Presiden University. Now, I will delve into the use of the passive voice across different senses. This will take roughly 5 to 7 minutes, and we'll be happy to address any question in this part at the conclusion of the presentation. Let's begin by exploring the passive voice in various tenses. The passive voice is formed using the verb to be, followed by the past participle of the main verb. The tenses in passive voice is reflected in the verb to be. The table shows the example of passive voice in various tenses. Let's see in the example marks with the rectangle. In active voice, simple past tense is Sarah played cricket, and it will be converted into passive voice. Cricket was played by Sarah. Was is to be from simple past. Another example will have a similar form, like in the present perfect. Sarah has played cricket, and it will be transformed into cricket has been played by Sarah. In this context, been is to be for perfect tenses. Please, next, Bu Dewi. The passive voice shines when we focus on action over actors. There's some do and don'ts for passive voice. For instance, a cure for the disease was discovered. Emphasize the discovery, not the discoverer or the actor. It is ideal for cases where the actor or the subject is irrelevant, as in the documents were misplaced, where we are unsure or uninterested in who misplaced them. However, clarity is sometimes sacrificed. It is like the don'ts. The manager approved the report is more direct than the report was approved by the manager. We must also be cautious. Passive sentences can become wordy, like it was decided by the committee. Instead of the concise, the committee decided. Remember, the active voice often feels more fitting and natural in informal context, such as casual conversation. Please next, Bu Dewi. We often encounter passive voice in various situations and media, highlighting its ubiquity in communication. Like in news headlines, the passive voice spotlight event, like 2 historic paintings were stolen from the museum last night. Scientific papers utilize it for objectivity, evident in statements like the tests were conducted under control conditions. And in example of business communication often adopts the passive formality, as seen in a new marketing strategy was implemented last quarter. We also naturally use passive structure in daily conversation, expressing scenarios such as, my wallet was lost during trip. Whether it is formal writing or casual talk, the passive voice is a purposive aspect of our linguistic landscape. Please next, Bu Dewi. Let's put what we have learned to the test. We have 4 sentences, as in the slide, and I would like you to identify if they are in the active or passive voice. Please share your answer in the chat box. Please, the audience, please share your answer in the chat box. Consider the first statement. Think about the structure and decide whether it is active or passive voice. Remember the clue we discussed for spotting passive construction. After we go through all of them, I will reveal the correct answer. Let's see how well you have grasped the concept. I will wait for 30 seconds. Please share your answer in the chat box. 4 sentences. Which one is the active voice and which one is the passive voice? Bu Dewi, please back. No. Yes. I will reminding you. Please give the answer in the chat box for the first statement, which one is active voice and passive voice. So there should be 4 answer for 4 question. Thank you, Pak Riando, Johanna, Pak Ari. We have cover some answer. Maybe the audience need a time to typing active or passive. Okay, we have plenty of answer. We can check which answer is true, the passive voice and the active voice. Please next to Bu Dewi. Okay, and this is the answer. Please check with yours. A symbol means active voice and P symbol means passive voice. So in the first statement, the team won the championship last year is active voice. A novel was written by the famous author is passive voice. We can look at the was written. She will deliver the package tomorrow is active voice. And the instruction have been sent to your email is passive voice. If you have some incorrect answer, you can looking at the clue for the previous slide. We will also share the slide in our group. Please next, Bu Dewi. Okay, now for the recap. The passive voice turns the object of an action into sentences focus, often sidelining the actor or the subject in standard sentences. So if we talk the passive voice, there is a sideline of the actor or the agent or the subject of the standard sentences. It is crafted using a verb form of to be combined with the past participle. So we can look at the form to be plus past participle. While active voice highlight the actor, passive voice emphasize the action or its recipient, not the actor or the subject in standard sentences. It's also used a sign in formal context and when the subject is irrelevant, but for clarity and accountability, an active voice prevails. And the last summary, the passive voice is a prominent feature in our daily lives, from news to chats. So we might encounter the passive voice in various forms. This is the last part, Bu Dewi.
Okay, what a wonderful sharing from Mr. Maulana and Mr. Sugianto. As a moderator, I will facilitate the question and answer segment. I will open the floor for question. Please raise your hand, or I will kindly to invite you to open your mic and mute yourself, or you can type your question on the chat box. Okay, we have Gunawan, and then Jin. What is Gunawan? Okay, you're Jin Song Kim. You're first. What is your question? Please unmute.
Thank you for your presentation, and I would like to ask one question. For example, I am confused. Is this passive voice or active voice?
Okay, Fafai, you want to answer the question?
Okay, thank you, Jason Kim Jin Song. I'm confused. I think I'm confused is part of your question, so I don't think it is the question itself. Thank you, Jason, for your question. It's a good question. Anyway, I'm confused according to the form of the passive voice is not a passive voice, it is an active voice, because I am is the subject in the first, the actor or the agent is in the first. So if we're talking about the passive voice is focused in the object, like maybe Jason catch a dog. So in passive voice will be the dog was catched by Jason. So it's a different form with the I'm confused. The I'm confused is in active voice. That's the explanation, Jason. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Jason. And now, Pak Gunawan, please unmute.
I have questions. If I'm not mistaken, that you've mentioned about ambiguity, which is not clear when we use the passive voice. Is there any way to make the sentences clear by adding something or anything to the sentences? Thank you.
Okay, Pak Pakai or Mas Denny, you want to ask? You want to answer the question?
Mas Dinim would like to answer or me?
Yeah, let me answer this. When we say to clear up ambiguity, we mean that if the sentence we are not sure on what or who is the subject or the doer. For example, like in the second slide, someone kicked the ball. Now, in this sentence, we want to emphasize that the ball is kicked, but we don't want to emphasize the agent, or in this case, someone, because someone is unclear, right? We don't know exactly who this someone is. So with the passive voice, we can reconstruct the sentence into the ball was kicked without mentioning the agent. Yeah. Hope that answers your question, Mr. Gunawan.
That means it depends on the situation that you want to identify it clear or unclear.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, another friend, colleague.
Bu Dewi, in the chat box, Nimas is asking.
Okay. Okay, Nimas. My name is Nimas Gabriela Brigensi. I'm sorry for using chatbot for asking question because my connection is unstable. In scientific research papers, authors often use passive voice to present their findings. Can you please explain why passive voice is commonly used in this context?
Okay, Bu Dewi, I will try to answer. Please share the screen, the slide for the slide number 8, Bu Dewi. While waiting Bu Dewi to share the slide, thank you, Nimas Gabriela Dwigensi. It's a good question because if we talk in academic, like most of us from the academic background, this question is very relevant because we are usually creating the research papers. Bu Dewi, can you share the slide number 8? The do's and don'ts. Okay, maybe while waiting Bu Dewi, I answer the question. Why passive voice is commonly used in this context? So in this context, the passive voice usually used in the scientific paper utilized for objectivity. Objectivity, like if we talk for the research paper, we must keep the objectivity of the research method or research result or even the research data. So to make it clear about the objectivity of or evident in the statement, like the tests were conducted under control condition. We do not say like we are conducted the test, but it is a part of the objectivity. I'm sorry for the internet connection. So I would like to reply the answer. The scientific papers utilize the passive voice for the objectivity. So like in the statement, the tests were conducted under control condition. So the focus is on the result or the object, not with the subject, because if we talk the subject, maybe the audience or the reader thinking that maybe it's a bias, maybe like subjective. But if we talk in passive voice, it emphasize the objectivity of the research itself. Hope it can clear and answer your question, Nimas. Thank you.
Thank you, Fafai.
Okay, thank you. Bu Dewi, you can manage again.
Hello. Yes, okay. Sorry. Hello. Yeah, another question from our friends. Okay, Mr. Nugraha, I will dismiss our presentation. Okay, guys. Okay, friend. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your attention today in this session. Hope this is useful for us to better know about the passive voice. And we dismiss our presentation today. Thank you very much.
That's brilliant. Thank you, the first group, for presenting passive voice today. Pak Vavai, Pak Denny, and Bu Dewi. That's brilliant presentation. I like the way you presented your topic this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, before we go to the second presenter or second presentation, we will have the if conditional later on. I would like to show my notes basically from the first group's presentation. That's quite interesting question from Nimas Gabriela in terms of the scientific papers, authors often use passive voice to present their findings, right? And then there is also a question from Ji-son. That is interesting question as well. I'm confused, right? And then the other one, like another one, is the example in daily conversation. So, Bu Dewi, would you like to reopen your PowerPoint presentation? So in the examples of passive voice in daily conversation.
Okay. Actually, this is my first time to share screen.
Okay. Take your time to do it.
For you, okay. Wait a minute. Yes.
Okay. Go on, Bu Dewi, go on. So I think it was like some slides after this. Next slide, please, Bu Dewi. Go on again. Go on. Go on. Go on. Go on. Hang on. That's it. That's it. So, Bu Dewi, Pak Denny, and Pak Vavai, and ladies and gentlemen, what I would like to point out is the everyday conversation. So if you can see the everyday conversations, my wallet was lost during the trip. The cake has been eaten by someone, okay? If you could see that, grammatically, they are correct, right? They're passive voice, they're correct, grammatically. But ladies and gentlemen, I would like to let you know that these kinds of sentences are not actually used every day, okay? Are not quite used every day. So culturally, people don't actually say my wallet was lost during the trip. So in reality, people chose all the time to say I lost my wallet. So in active voice, not the cake has been eaten by someone. That is just example, yeah, just to let you know, that's a good example of how passive voice will look like. But in everyday conversations, in reality, they don't actually happen. People just say, someone ate the cake in an active voice. Like, for example, in Bahasa Indonesia, you work in the kitchen. In Bahasa Indonesia, tidak sengaja tangan Anda terkena pisau, right? So people don't actually say, my hand was cut when I was cooking. Although that is grammatically correct, but again, culturally, that is mistaken. So people will say, I cut my hand while I was cooking. So the shape is in active voice, not in passive voice. Although in meaning, tidak sengaja, but in English, they say in sengaja. So they say, I cut my hand while I was cooking. I lost my wallet in my trip. Someone actually ate the cake. Okay, so from these examples of Pak Vavai, just to confirm, they are correct grammatically, but not actually being used in daily conversations. Okay, just for your awareness, ladies and gentlemen. That is the first one. The second one, the question from Ji-son related to I'm confused, right? So I'm confused can be, please underline this, can be passive or just can be the state of your condition, right? Just mentioning the active state of your condition. I'm confused, so there's nothing I could do else. Nothing else I can do. That's it. So it's informing the active situation of your being confused of something, right? You can't say what to do. You don't know what to do. That's I'm confused. However, ladies and gentlemen, if there is additional words, there are some additional words by plus the problems, then that will be passive. Okay, Ji-son. So if you just say, I'm confused, that's it. That is the active situation of your state of mind, right? But when you say, I'm confused by this assignment, that is going to be passive voice. So the only difference would be the existence of two additional words at the end of I'm confused. Okay, I hope that helps, Ji-son and ladies and gentlemen. So active condition of your state of mind versus passive voice, if only there are two additional words after the word confused. Okay, that's the second one. And the third one is the question from Nimas Gabriela, but Vavai has answered already. And I just would like to add a little bit more. Pak Vavai, Budewi, Nimas, Denny, and ladies and gentlemen, we have to remember, bear in mind that research, there are two kinds. First is quantitative. Second is qualitative. There's another one, actually, the third one is mixed methods, right? But let's not talk about mixed method. Let's talk about the quanti and qualitative. When you say we try to make the findings or the research as objective as possible by employing passive voice, let's say that could be the area of quantitative. Because in quantitative, you cannot influence your data, right? But ladies and gentlemen, in qualitative, so the data, the knowledge that you are trying to find is actually subjective. So each person will have different way of how to claim their research when their research is in the form of qualitative. All right. And then again, yet again, I really do not recommend all my supervisees. You know, my supervisees are, if I am supervisor, the students that become my supervisee, right? Because I give them supervising activities. So I never ask them to actually create passive voice in all the sentences they make in their research papers. But really depends. So for example, instead of using topic A is discussed in this paper, I would try to ask them to change it to active voice. So this paper discusses blah, 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 blah. The researchers claim blah, 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 blah. not the research result is claimed by blah, 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 but the active form is the one that I normally suggest my students to produce their research papers, okay? But again, that's just me. Some other supervisors might choose different ways, okay? So if you could see in other research papers, they employ passive voice, it could probably caused by their supervisors are fine with this. But most supervisors in the UK, people that I know of, normally they will suggest you to use active voice in presenting your papers. All right, so I hope that helps, Nimas. So don't be mistaken, you're fine actually to use passive voice sometimes, but it really is going to depend on your supervisors. So when your supervisors ask you to actually change the active, do it. Otherwise, they're going to create a red cross on your writing. Okay?
Okay, thank you,
I
sir.
hope that clarifies any confusion that it has. Yes, Vavai, would you like to say something, please?
Okay, thank you, sir. So I'm interested in with the something everyday conversation, the way you explain. I would like to have another example, like what if the other people asking for the object itself, sir? Like, hey, what's wrong with your car? So if the question is about the car, is this possible we are using the passive voice instead of active voice? Because the broken, the one is broken is the car. So I will say like, my car was broken after the accident, maybe last week or something like that, sir. Because the question is about the object. Thank you, sir.
Okay. That's right. Thank you for the question, Vavai. Really, that clarifies further ideas of passive voice. Brilliant. Yes, you're welcome to do that, Vavai. So if in the context of people asking about some stuff, right, like, you know, belongings, things like that, and then the exact question is actually asking about the condition of that particular things people are asking, then you're welcome to use passive voice. You're right. Yes, that can be done like that. So if the question is like, what happened to your car? Then probably you can answer, my car was broken. Like, my car is broken. You can't do that. So the one that I mentioned is that just in case you mention things other than those ones without questions, normally people would tend to say something in positive instead of the active voice. Like, you know, even the wallet, when people ask, what happened to your wallet? What happened to your wallet? I mean, the proper, culturally proper answer would be still, I lost my wallet, instead of my wallet was lost. Okay. So it really is depending on the question and depending on the things that you're asking about. Car, house. So you can say, what happened to your house? You're welcome to answer, my house has been sold to some buyers, right? Or you're also still welcome to say, I sold my home, or I sold my house, in active voice. Okay, so passive and active. Why passive are there? It's not because something has to be said in passive all the time. I mean, some things can be said in active, and some things can also be said in passive, right? You're welcome to do that. But the only thing that you can't is when you say, I cut my finger, I cut my hand while I was cooking. So the meaning in Bahasa Indonesia is tersobek or terkena pisau in passive way. But in real life situation, you have to mention this in active voice. So when I was cooking, I actually cut my hair, I cut my hand, I cut my finger. Okay. Right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I hope that clarifies the confusion about passive voice and active voice. Thank you, Vavai, for adding the question related to the object. So when you say, what happened to your car? You're welcome to say, my car is broken in passive way. Other than those things, even with those things as well, you can, if you finally choose to use active voice in your daily conversation. Okay, right. Good. So yes, I think it's time to go to the second presentation. I believe we have another outstanding group presenting if conditional from Brian, Neil, and Puji Helianto. Okay, so should I give the floor directly to group 2, please?
All right. All right. Did you see my screen, guys? All right.
Yes, Neil.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Accuracy Development. My name is Neil Orian, and I will be your host for today. Honorable Dr. Agung Nugroho, as our beloved teacher, ladies and gentlemen, dear brothers and sisters. There is no the most beautiful word to say in this good evening except to thanks and pray unto Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because of his mercies and blessing, everything can be performed without any troubles and obstacles. Before we start our event, I would like to introduce to you our guest speaker. They are here today to deliver a speech of conditional sentence knowledge with great explanation. They will let us see how to use if condition or if clause. And the presentation will take around 15 minutes. Then at the end of presentation, there will be a Q&A session. The first speaker graduate from National Crypto Institute in Indonesia and earned a bachelor's degree in crypto engineering, and he has member of APEC Summit Signal Security Operation Team in 2009. Currently working as senior crypto analyst at National Cyber and Crypto Agency. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Puji Helianto as the first speaker. Please give him a round of applause.
Okay, thank you, Neil, for your introduction. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I will not introduce myself again because the moderator has explained in detail about myself. I only talk about my nickname. You can call me as Puji. Okay, tonight our group will give presentation about if condition. The purpose of this presentation is to give explanation or information to you about definition, types, structure, and example of if condition. Our presentation will divide into two parts. First part will be presented by me, and the second part will be presented by my partner, Brian. In my part, I will talk about three subtopics. The first is clause for the basic of the conditional sentence. The second is zero conditional sentence. And the last is the first conditional sentences. All right, we will begin tonight presentation material regarding clause. What is clause? A clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb that have a relationship. So in the clause, there's a subject and a verb, and they have a relationship. For example, I like pudding and I like salad. If you go, I will cry. I will tell you when I'm done. I will cry. Why I'm crying? Because you go. There's the relationship. So, and when I'm done, I will tell you. Next. The conditional sentences. Conditional sentences are statements discussing cause and effect, also known factor or hypothetical situation, and their consequences. We use them to communicate that something is true or happen only if something else is true or happen under a certain condition. Complete conditional sentences contain a conditional clause or if clause and the consequences. The formula is if A, then B. Next. There is 5 types of conditional sentences. First, zero conditional sentences. Second is first conditional sentences. Third is second conditional sentences. Fourth is third conditional sentences. And the last is mixed conditional sentences. Almost the majority of sources state there are only 4 types of conditional sentences, but some sources also add the 5th type. There is a mixed conditional sentences. More detail about each type will be explained later. Next. Okay, I will explain about the first type of the conditional sentences. It's a zero conditional sentences. Zero conditional sentences express general truth, situation in which one thing always causes another. They are used to make a statement about scientific fact. For example, if you heat ice, it melts. If it rains, the grass gets wet. If you mix red and blue, you get purple. From the 3 examples, we can know that they are expressed the general truth and about scientific fact. In these sentences, the time is used to the present and always, and the situation is real and certain. Another use of the zero conditional sentences is to give instruction. If you love me, say yes. If mom calls, pick up the phone. Or if you have any question, please let me know. There's the example of the instruction to use the zero conditional sentence. Next. What is the structure of the zero conditional sentences? The structure is in the condition, we use if plus simple present, and for the result of the consequences, use the simple present too. For example, if this thing happen, that thing happen. There is 2 simple present they use in the zero conditional sentence structure. Next. The second type is first conditional sentences. The first conditional sentences are used to express future possibility. They are used to, the first is express possible, but not guaranteed possible outcome. For example, if you eat, you will be happy. Or if it rains, I will not go to the office. If for the example, we can know that if we eat, there's no guarantee we will be happy. If we eat, it's guaranteed that we will not hungry anymore. So that's from the example we can know what not guarantee to use in the first conditional sentences. In these sentences, the time is the present or future, and the situation is also possible. What's the difference the zero conditional and the first conditional sentences? We use the zero conditional only when the certain result is guaranteed. And if the result is likely, we can use the first conditional. The second use of the first conditional is to give warning. For example, if you do not sleep, I will tell mom. Or if you do not leave, I will call the police. Next. The structure of the first conditional sentences is if, in the condition if plus simple present, and the result of or consequences use the simple future. For example, if this thing happens, that things will happen. The first is use simple present, and the second is use the simple future. Okay, that is all my presentation. Now I will return to the Neil. Please, Neil.
All right. Thank you to Puji Helianto with great explanation has explained about the material. We'll continue to the next speaker. He is graduate from Presiden University, Indonesia, and earned a bachelor's degree in information technology. And he has participated in GOVAD, National English Debate Competition in 2019, and currently working at an IT consulting company, Accenture, as an application development senior analyst. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Brian Renku as the second speaker. The floor is yours.
Good evening, all. Thank you for the introduction, Neil. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight is a very special opportunity for me to present about the continuation of conditional sentences. So previously, Puji has explained about the zero and first conditional sentences. Now in my section, I will divide my presentation into 3 sections, which are the second, the third, and mixed conditional sentences. Without further ado, let us start with the second conditional sentences. The second conditional sentences are used to imagine future situation that is unlikely or impossible. They are used to first express hypothetical condition and its probable result. So when we are talking about the second conditional sentences, it is related to the future, but the future is unlikely. For example, if I was Superman, I would save the world. So in reality, I am not Superman, and it is just a hypothetical condition that I would save the world. Another example is if I was a billionaire, I would eat at fancy restaurant every day. In reality, right now, I am not a billionaire, and therefore it is impossible for me to eat at fancy restaurant every day. And the third example is if he worked out, he would have a six-pack. In reality, he does not work out. Therefore, he is just imagining for the situation. So as you can see in these 3 sentences, the time is the present or any time, and the situation is hypothetical. So the condition is hypothetical. Okay. Next. The structure of second conditional sentences is if plus simple past for the condition, and for the main clause is present conditional or present continuous conditional. For the condition, for example, if this thing happened, so it is in simple past, and the main clause is that thing would happen. It is in present conditional. Okay, next. The present conditional tense consists of subject, would, and infinitive. So in this example, I would go. I is the subject, would is the keyword, and go is the infinitive or the verb 1. So when you want to use present conditional tense, you should use verb 1. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. Okay, the next section of my presentation is third conditional sentences. They are used to imagine a different past and present. So previously, the second conditional sentences is only related to the present and the future. But for third conditional sentences, this is related to the past, between the past and the present. So the third conditional sentences are used to discuss a different or alternate present if something different had happened in the past. For example, if you had not lied before, I would have believed you. So in reality, you lied. Previously, you lied. Therefore, I did not believe you. Another example is if he had worked harder, he would have passed the exam. In reality, he did not work harder. Therefore, he did not pass the exam. As you can see in the sentences, the time is the past. The if clause is in the past. And the situation is hypothetical because the reality is not like what they stated. Therefore, it is now too late for the condition or its result to exist, and there is implication of regret. Okay, next. Okay, the structure for third conditional sentences is if plus past perfect for the condition, and then perfect conditional or perfect continuous conditional for the main clause. For example, if this thing had happened, which is past perfect, that thing would have happened, which is a perfect conditional. Next. The perfect conditional tense consists of subject plus would have plus past participle. For example, I would have gone. So in this example, gone is the past participle, which is the verb 3. Okay, it can also be implemented to other types of sentences like negative, interrogative, and interrogative negative. Okay, next. Okay, so so far we have learned 4 conditional sentences. Yeah, they are related to the future. The second one is related to the future, and the third one is related to the past. Now we have mixed conditional sentences. So this is related to 2 time frame, and there are 2 types. The first type is when we want to imagine a past change with a present result, and the second type is when we want to imagine a present change with a past result. The first one, A, present result with a past change. It refers to an unreal past condition and its probable result in the present. So we imagine something currently that is result from the past change. For example, if I had studied, I would have my driving license. In reality, I did not study. That is the past, right? I did not study. Thus, I don't have my license, and that is the present situation. Another example is if I had taken that job, I would be a millionaire. In reality, I did not take the job, the past. Thus, I am not a millionaire, the present. Okay, in these sentences, the time is the past and the if clause and the present in the main clause. The situation is hypothetical. It is now too late for the condition to exist, and there is also implication of regret. Okay, next section. Okay, so section A is present result with a past change, right? And section B is vice versa, past result with a present change. It refers to an unreal present situation and it's probable but unreal past result. So the if clause now is a past. If I was a good cook, the if clause is present. If I was a good cook, I would have invited them to lunch. In reality, I am not a good cook. In reality, I'm a terrible cook. That's why I did not invite them to lunch. That is the past, right? And then another example is if she wasn't afraid of flying, she wouldn't have traveled by boat. So in reality, she is afraid. That is the present, right? That's why in the past, she did not travel by boat. Okay, as you can see in the sentences, the time in the if clause is the present or always, and the time in the main clause is the past, and the situation is hypothetical. Okay, next. For the structure, the first one, the present result with a past change. We use past perfect for the condition and present conditional for the result. For example, if this thing had happened, which is past perfect, the main clause is that thing would happen, present conditional. And for the past result with a present change, uses simple past, if this thing happened. And the main clause uses perfect conditional, that thing would have happened. Okay. That's all for my part. I will give it back to Neil. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give an applause using Zoom emoticon to them. Thank you to Brian Rangkung and Puji Helianto. That was a great excellent knowledge. Now, let's continue to the Q&A session. Before you ask a question or give a comment, I'd like to remind the questioners to brief as you could. To the point question will be better. And I only allow 2 people maximum to ask a question. Please raise your hand using Zoom reaction and say your name with your major also. Wait, I will see it first. I will stop my sir. Okay, Vincentius, and then oh yeah, Mr. Fafai and Vincentius. All right, for Mr. Fafai, time is yours to say your question.
Okay, thank you, Neil, for the opportunity. Actually, I would like to clarify for the previous slide. In the mixed conditional sentences, B, past result with a present change. Can you share the slide? The mixed conditional sentences in part B. Maybe 22.
Wait.
Maybe 22 now.
Oh wait. I lost my question. I'm sorry. My question is not stable now.
I think slide 22, if I'm not mistaken.
This one. This one. This one?
Okay. B 22.
Oh, okay. 22. This?
No, 22, not 23. Slide 22.
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Wait. Okay. Here you go.
Okay, I think the example of number 2, if she wasn't afraid of flying, she wouldn't have traveled by boat. And the explanation is reality. She is afraid of flying. Though she did not travel by boat. I suppose it should. Does she did the travel by boat, and she didn't travel by plane? Is this correct, or maybe a typo for this explanation?
All right. Thank you for the comment. I think it's brilliant comment. Now I give a question to the speakers who will answer this question.
Okay, please let me answer the question.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, thank you for the question, Mr. Fafai. So if she wasn't afraid of flying, she wouldn't have traveled by boat. In reality, she is afraid of flying. Thus, she did travel by boat. Yes, I think it was a typo. Yeah. The explanation should be thus she did travel by boat, or the example should be changed into she would have traveled by boat.
Okay. Thank you.
Do I- Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you for the clarification, Brian. Then let's continue to the next question. I think from Vincentius. Okay, time is yours.
Thank you, Neil. Is there any key difference between conditional and mixed conditional? Because if you put them side by side, it seems they're way too similar with each other. Is there any key difference between them so you can differentiate it?
I'm sorry, could you please repeat your question?
Is there any key difference with mixed conditional and third conditional? Because the structure is kind of similar, and if you put them side by side, the sentences, it's kind of hard to differentiate them. Is there any key differences between them?
All right. Key difference.
Yeah, like maybe
All
like
right. Okay, go ahead.
No, I mean, is there like any like certain way to distinguish between third and mixed conditional, because they are technically very similar? Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. With brilliant question. I'm sorry, who will answer this question from the speakers?
Okay, since it is related to my presentation, please allow me to answer. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Let us go to the third conditional sentences slide.
Conditional.
I mean, can you put the sentence side by side between third and mixed conditional? Because yeah, if you put them side by side, it's kind of hard to differentiate them, because in your slide you put them in the different slide, right? If you put them like side by side, I think it will be harder to notice it.
Side by side would be easier to notice if it is put side by side. You mean?
Yeah, try to put the sentence side by side between mixed and the third.
Okay.
The structure is way too similar to differentiate it, I guess.
Okay. Can you go to slide 16?
16 with this one?
Yeah. So Vincent, are you asking about the slide or the structure or the usage?
The general sentences.
The general
Like
sentence.
Yeah.
Okay. Please allow me to explain first. Yeah. If it is still not clear, then I can add another slide side by side. So in the third conditional sentences, let's see number 1. If you had not lied before, this should be in the past, right? So the person X lied in the past, and the consequence is I would have believed you. So this also refers to the past. So I did not believe you in the past. So both clauses happened in the past. It is also the same with number 2. If he had worked harder, it means that in the past he did not work harder. The consequence is he would have passed the exam. So the consequence was in the past. So both are in the past. As you, in the sentences, the time is the past. Okay. Can we go to the mixed conditional sentences? That is the third conditional sentences. Yeah. The mixed conditional sentences are mixes of the second and the third conditional sentences because it is related to the present and the past. It's just the two different types of the mixed conditional sentences. Please go to slide 21.
21, this one.
Okay, so the third one, both are in the past, right? But for the mixed one, let's see number 1. If I had studied, so this should refer to the past, right? In the past, I did not study. And the consequence is I would have my driving license. This refers to the present because right now I don't have my driving license. That the past change refers to the if condition, if clause, and the present result is the I would have my driving license. So this is a cross time. The previous one happened in the past. This one happened in the past, but has a consequence in the present.
And then how do you know it happened in the past or in the present? Because there's no like time condition.
Okay.
Right.
We know it happened in the past. Actually, from the sentence and the tense that it uses. If I had studied, which refers to the past, right? And there is a consequence. I would have my driving license. Yeah, we can also say if I had studied last semester, I would have my driving license now. We can also add the time
I mean about the
description.
consequence part, not the if part, the consequence, because the consequence doesn't really clear if it's in the present or in the past. Maybe try to make another sentence.
Okay. Can you go to slide 23?
23, sure. There you go.
Present result with a past change. Okay, so actually, if we can see the main clause in the mixed conditional sentences for section A, it is in present conditional, right? And for the third conditional sentences, it is also in for the third conditional sentences, it is in perfect conditional. Perfect conditional. Okay, so the present conditional is I would have, right? I would have. Perfect conditional. Wait, I'm getting confused.
Can you go back to the conditional sentence structure? The sentence structure for the third condition, just to try to compare it.
Present conditional. Okay. The structure, yeah.
Yeah, the structure for the third condition, just to compare the main clause part.
Okay.
See, it's also perfect conditional too. In this one.
Wait, I'll make it easier. I'll drag it. This.
Yeah, it's also perfect conditional too, right? Like in the structure for the mixed condition.
Would have past participle. Okay. I think the main clause should be perfect conditional, yeah.
Not that slide now. The other one, the structure.
This
17, yeah.
Yeah, that one. Just try to compare side by side.
Okay, so the the table A should be perfect conditional because we use I would have, right? So a present result with a past change should be if plus past perfect and perfect conditional. The main clause should be perfect conditional. Is it your concern, Vincent? Okay. So for the third conditional sentences, it uses perfect conditional. Perfect conditional is identified by would have happened.
So the difference is just the other one use simple past and the other one use simple perfect for the if clause.
Between the mixed one, the present result with a
And the
past
third
change,
one.
and the third one.
Yeah.
The third one. For the third one, the condition is past perfect, and the clause is perfect conditional. So in the mixed one, the A1 is past perfect and present conditional, but the B1 is simple past and perfect conditional, right? Just like the table. But for the third one, it is past perfect and perfect conditional. Past perfect and perfect conditional, right? So it's like it's the combination of both tables in the mixed conditional sentences.
All right. I think the time is up. Thank you for the brief questions. Because of the time to sum up, allow me to read the summary of our day presentation. Wait. A conditional sentence is a sentence type that expresses a condition and the outcome of the condition. Then, I'd like to highlight about the conditional sentence. Usually begin with if, includes a dependent and independent clause, comes in different forms including zero, first, second, third, and last one additional is mix. Remember, mix is additional. Generally, it's only 4, right? Based on the question, Vincent question. Generally, it's only 4, but mix is from second, third, and then it mix all together. All right. I sincerely appreciate your attention this evening. I'd like to finish with these powerful words. Don't stop learning because life does not stop teaching. All right. That's all from us. Thank you very much for your attention. Then I will give it back to Mr. Agung.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Nugroha. Okay.
That's fine. Fantastic, brilliant presentation. So Brian, and then Neil, and who's the other one? Yuli, yeah? Is that it? 1 second.
Puji
And
Yulianto.
Puji Helianto. Yeah, Puji. Brilliant. So thank you for the explanation on if clause. Like some questions were also very interesting from Vavai and Vincent. Vincent, today, you're welcome to open page 426 on PDF. Betty Scranford Azar. Like, if clause is one of the hardest things in grammar rules, basically. So you may need to sit down and try to read through 426 on PDF and try to answer some questions on it. Like sometimes people find difficulties in mixed part of your reality. So if your imagination is positive, reality is negative, and the vice versa. However, sometimes we are confused which part of grammar we would like to choose, which part of tenses we would like to use. Is it going to be present tense? Is it going to be past tense or past perfect, right? Sometimes they mixed it as well. So the first part of the sentence is past tense, and then the second part of sentence is past perfect. So they're not actually mixed, but they can be done like that. So if you would like to know more, I would really suggest you to actually really sit down and look at the book by yourself and try to answer the questions there. By then you will understand entirely, because explaining like this is going to be tough for everybody, including myself. Because if I explain things, it should be based on the formula and the examples of formula and how to answer questions related to them. Other than those questions, the students really have to spend some time to sit down and read the book. Okay, that's the first thing. Secondly, this is for the presenters today, for the group presenting the if conditional. Neil, if you could open the second form of if conditional one more time for me in your
yes,
PowerPoint.
Wait.
Sir, can I ask you a little bit about the previous presentation, sir? In the book, in the chapter that you show, the way they explain it is kind of different. They don't use like the word like first condition, zero condition, or something like that. So it makes me more confused now.
Vincent, I can't hear you actually. Right? Can you speak closer to your microphone, please?
Sorry, sir. I already tried to open the book. In the PDF, the way they actually explain it is kind of different. They don't use like the first condition, second condition, or third condition, I guess. I only skim it, but I don't think they explain it in the way Neil Group explain it. So it's kind of it makes me more confused.
Right, that's fine. That's okay. I mean, confusion is part of learning, right? I mean, there's nothing I can do basically. Like normally when somebody asks me questions regarding some grammar rules, I would like to ask them walking down the street. So walking down the street, starting from the formula, after the formula, and then examples of the questions. And those formula and examples of the questions can be found actually on PDF book. But I will not try to do that today because basic is going to take a longer time. But if you give me chance in the next meeting, we can try to go through step by step to see what if clause actually looks like and some example of questions of if clauses. But beforehand, I really would require you to sit down, spend 1 hour or so to read the books by Betty Scranford. Like starting from the formula, after the formula, the kinds of if conditional, there are 3 normally, right? And trying to answer some exercises, questions on the exercises regarding those 3. Once you've done them correctly, then you can start mixing it, right? Because mixing 2 different clauses, if clauses, are the next level of how to answer questions related to this topic. So we can't actually just do at once in 5-10 minutes explaining to you if you haven't read anything. So I hope that clarifies the confusion that you have. Even me, I can't do magic and make you understand what Brian and Neil, Roy and Hallie actually presented the topic today. All you can do is now try to open 4 to 6 to sit down, spend actually 1 hour there. And then next week, we try to go through the memory lane of yours and everyone in this class. I can try to present one more time the what do you call that? The formula, examples of the if conditional and example of exercises. And then we can start talking about your confusion, all right? Okay, I hope that provides not the answer to Vincent, but clarifies what you should do to understand what Brian, Neil, and Hallie just talked about in their presentation tonight. Okay, guys, if we come back, I would like to note one thing for all of you. One thing. The second form, please, Neil. The second form. Go on. Continue. Yep, that's it. That's it. Stop right there. So Neil, Brian, and Hallie, in the second conditional sentence, right, I would like to remind everybody in this class, there is no was in to be. Okay? There is no was in second conditional sentence. So the formula, if not, is not was, but were in whatever subjects you have. All right? So if I were Superman, I would save the world. If I were a billionaire, I would eat at fancy restaurant every day. So that is the formula of the second conditional sentences, okay? For everybody, please bear in mind, in grammatical rule, there is no was in second conditional sentence. The only to be that is used, regardless what subject you have, is were. He, she, it, I, you, we, they don't matter. The to be is always were. If she were Superman, she would save the world. If I were Superman, I would save the world. The reality, I'm not a Superman, so I can't save the world. I don't save the world. Okay? Just to let you know. If you could change that, Brian, Neil, you can change if I was into I were. If I were, that would be brilliant. Brian, would you like to say anything?
Yeah, thank you for the additional information, sir. Actually, Neil, can you go to slide 15? Actually, we have an extra slide. We put it under the title of second conditional sentences variations.
Right.
Here, we explain that the order of the clauses is not fixed. So if she fell, she wouldn't hurt herself is equal to she would hurt herself if she fell. And there's also another section that says the I were can be used instead of I was. So maybe this can help to clarify, yes, sir. But yeah, I think it should be were as the default verb, yeah.
Right. Okay, that's great. Thank you for the explanation, Brian. You're right, yes. But please try not to use was in every answers that you have related to the second conditional sentence, okay? That's my message to everybody. However, ladies and gentlemen, if we are talking in different point of view, I like to say something related to cultural point of view, all right? So grammatical point of view, the correct one is and has been always related to were, not was, when you try to use the second conditional sentence. But in the conversational life, cultural life, people are welcome to use were or was in their spoken. Okay, mark my word, spoken. In their spoken conversation, if I was Superman, I would save the world. There's nothing wrong with that. Spoken. But then when you write it down, if you still use was, then that is going to be mistaken. Okay, that's the different points of view, culturally and grammatically. Culturally, they're acceptable. You can use were in a correct way, or you can use was in the second conditional sentence. People don't actually complain with that. But in writing, that becomes artifact, right? Artifact has to be correct grammatically. And please, if that really happens to you, use were, not was. Okay, right. That's brilliant. So one more time, thank you very much for the presentation, group 2. Neil, Brian, and Helly, right? Okay, you can stop
Right,
sharing
sir.
now, Neil.
Thank you, sir.
Right, ladies and gentlemen, now I think it's better, because we have limited time, less than 10 minutes. I really would like to choose the presenters for the next meeting, right? So next meeting, we will have Dwiki, Diaz, and Leonardo. And then I think we need 2 more people. Oh, sorry, 2 more group to present. So it means we need 6 more people to volunteer or to start actually presenting next week. Become group 4. 1, 2, 3, and group 5. Okay, I'm still trying to take notes of the time of the person going to present. So anyone would like to do the next presentation for next week, or should I choose the names of yours? Anyone would like to appoint themselves to be presenters for next week? 3 people. Aprilia, okay. 2 more for group 4. Aprilia, hang on. Aprilia, Gunawan, and Nadia. Okay, hang on. Neil, would you please write it down as well, yeah?
All right, sir.
Aprilia,
Wait,
Nadia,
brilliant.
and Gunawan. Okay, that's group 4. Right, so if I could ask 3 more people, who might that be? For group 5. 3 more people. Anyone would like to appoint themselves, or should I choose your names? Okay. No one? Okay, let me choose then. Pak Muhadi, are you there?
Yes, sir. Ready, sir.
Okay, good. So you're next week, yeah? Hang on, Muhadi.
Yes.
And then Pak Muhadi, your partner would be Vincent. Would you like to do presentation for next week, Vincent?
So, okay, sir.
Okay, Vincent, yeah?
Which Vincent?
Vincent is. And then 1 more person. Anyone would like to appoint themselves, or should I choose 1 more person? No one raising hand? Oh, Sudrajat. Yes, Pak Sudrajat. All right, we got all of them now. Sudrajat, right. So for next week, present perfect continuous would be group 3. Group 3 is Dwiki, Diaz, and Leonardo. And then group 4, which consists of Aprilia, Nadia, and Gunawan. Please present wish clause. Okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
Wish clause. Wish, W-I-S-H. Whiskey, India, Sierra Hotel, Wish.
All right.
So try to find it in Betty Scrum for Azure book as your reference. Wish clause, okay? And then the last group, Muhadi, Vincentius, and Sudrajat. I would like you to present, 1 second, let me find it. Present, future. Muhadi, Vincentius, and Sudrajat. Your group is going to present present, future, right? Present, future. Okay, so it means next week we will have group 3, perfect continuous, group 4, wish clause, group 5, present, future. Okay, right. Does anyone have question for the final minutes of our class?
I think group 3, it is Leonardo or Leonardi, sir.
Leonardi.
Right. I think Leonardi is the name, yeah? So
It
just
should be
take it.
Leonardi.
So Leonardi, all right. So Dwiki, Fatur, Dias, Shafira, and Leonardi. All right. Yep, you're right. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah, Leonardi, that's it. I think the name is Leonardi. Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's great. Anyone else would like to have question before I close the class? No? All right. So ladies and gentlemen, before I actually close the class, allow me to show you the attendance list that you can scan. 1 second. Okay. Okay. And ladies and gentlemen, you're welcome to scan this. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yep. Please do scan now, yeah? Remember, just in case you have problems, which I believe most people will face these problems, if you actually come to this class but you can't sign in, make sure you tell me by bringing the proof that you're actually here tonight. So screenshot of our activities today with your picture in it, so I can see that you're actually coming, okay? I will also check the recordings that given by Vavai or Nail as well, but please screenshot, show it to me, then I can change your attendance, okay? Has everybody actually scanned this and you've been successful, hopefully, to sign in to my class?
Yes, sir. Already.
Right, okay. Yep. So I will close my class. Just in case you have problems, please don't forget to let me know tomorrow. by bringing all the proofs, right? So I can change your attendance list. All right, I will close now. I'll stop sharing. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight. Thank you for coming to my class. I will see you again next week, and have a great night.
All right, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good night.
Thank you,
guys.
sir. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much for coming to the class, yeah?
Yes, sir.
Yes.